mid-20s, I kept hearing from people, you know, you have the most wonderful father. And they were right. What was so wonderful about him? I want to suggest three basic things. Number one, a sense of wonder. Number two, his lust for adventure. And number three, his utter shamelessness. First of all, the sense of wonder. Dad could take, as my brothers have very well expressed, the greatest joy out of a milkshake, out of any kind of food. He loved food. A piece of music. When we were visiting him here last week, out of the Mezzo TV station with classical music performances. He loved music, and he was very good at teaching people about music. And the sense of wonder of the world newly created, of the world created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu specifically for him, was something that was a characteristic of my father always. The lust for adventure. My dad, as Jonathan mentioned, had this lust for creating new things, adventures, companies. When he moved to Israel, when he came to Israel the first time, in 1949, taking me along when I was 6 months old. And I was sick, apparently, during part of this. I don't remember. But, I mean, can you imagine? This is, Israel wasn't what it is today. And then coming back to Israel in 1990 and making a life here, the great adventure of his life. But on little things, he loved adventures. He loved hiking, and the outdoors has been commented. And the adventure of writing a book, having his own book and his own contribution, which is just last year. And he was so proud of that, and deservedly so. And then finally, my dad's shamelessness. One of the things that I remember very well from childhood, my brothers were a little bit too young, was my dad used to, on the weekends, take us out to swimming pools. We lived in San Diego, and we didn't have a swimming pool. We weren't wealthy at all, and in fact, rather on the poor side of things for a long time. But my dad would take people to hotel swimming pools, where you're not supposed to go if you're not a guest of the hotel. And my mother, may she rest in peace, was always worried that he would be humiliated. He says, so what? So they ask us to leave. That's no problem. My dad was never ashamed of living and enjoying himself. Or, for instance, of in his 50s, all of a sudden teaming up with a bunch of young punks and changing his life in a Torah direction. What does it mean to learn how to lane Torah? Not for your bar mitzvah, but to learn how to lane when you're in your 50s. To observe Shabbat for the first time when you're in your 50s. The kind of shamelessness, the fearlessness regarding potential embarrassment was surely one of my father's greatest midot, among all his midot. Last recollection, and then we are racing the time. About 30 years ago, when I was very much an adult, my dad and I were both living in the Santa Monica area. And I used to go to the beach every day. I'd like to body surf. And there was one day where it was very stupidly, I was thrown by a wave, and my foot was very badly cut. And there was, all of a sudden I saw blood in the water, and I thought Jaws or something, but my foot was quite badly cut, and I'm walking out of the beach, and I have no idea, because I'd have to walk over the sand, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, and how I'm going to get to the doctor. And all of a sudden, my dad comes jogging along. He was jogging on the beach. I had never before in my life run into my dad on the beach. The one time I run into my dad on the beach is when I needed him. And he carried me like a baby. I was close to 30, carried me like a baby to the doctor, and I got the stitches in my foot, and he took care of. He was our lifeguard, guarded our life, our spirit of life. And the whole idea of these characteristics that we talked about the sense of wonder, the lust for adventure, the shamelessness, they are characteristics of youth. Not a time of life, but a quality of mind. And that is something that my father continues to exemplify, and will always exemplify for all of us, to be, in the best sense, fresh, young,
enjoying this world freshly created every day for the benefit of each of us.